So digestion and absorption, we have to break food down to their monomers, to their basically smallest constituent for them to be absorbed into the small intestine. So for proteins, that means getting them down to amino acids. Carbohydrates, you need to get them down to glucose. Gradually, lipids, glycerol, and fatty acids. Remember, these are all things we looked at in topic 1, or topic 2, if you want to go back and check those out. And nucleic acids are nucleotides. Yeah, topic 1 was cell biology, photosynthesis, respiration. Topic 2 goes into the molecular side of things. And just because you eat it doesn't mean it's absorbed and used. It has to get broken down. It has to get into your bloodstream in order for you to be able to use it. So there's a lot of different enzymes you need to learn. And the reason is, remember, enzymes lower the activation energy needed to perform these biochemical reactions. And without this, it's going to take a lot longer. Without the enzymes, a lot longer to do the reactions. And there's a good, you definitely could maintain your current activity level without enzymes. And so let's get into some of the specifics here. The salivary amylase, of course, comes from your salivary glands. The substrate that it works on is starch. Forget this. This is a mistake. So starch, in a cracker, in bread, in rice, in wheat, that's what that is. Products would be maltose, primarily maltose. And that's your optimum pH, basically neutral, a little bit acidic. Pepsin, that happens in the stomach, and you're looking at proteins. That's what pepsin works on. And it breaks the big proteins like this into smaller proteins like that. Still not into amino acids. And check that out, optimal pH, super low. Can dissolve nails. So that's how strong those acids are. Pancreatic lipase, of course, comes from your pancreas and works on fat droplets, makes your glycerol, fatty acids, and it prefers roughly 7 to 8.3. So it's going from something that could be down to 1 down up to 8. That's a big shift. And that happens all within a few inches, 5 or 6 inches from your stomach into your small intestine. Pretty wild. So here's some parts we need to know. Of course, the mouth, underneath, in the chin area around, we have the salivary glands. And then this long tube, esophagus. And I split this over 2 slides on this, so give me a little more room to write. Just FYI. And no reason, other reason, stomach. Behind the stomach is your pancreas. And then you have your small intestine. And then large intestine. This right here is the rectum, anus, and if you look here, what do you think that is? That little bitty thing doesn't look like it means a whole lot, just sticking off the end. The large intestine is your appendix. This green structure is your gallbladder. And of course your liver. So it's kind of helpful to make a kind of a chart that kind of lays it all out in a simple fashion. It's easier to remember that way. So if you do this, you can all the corresponding things. This is the mouth. Sorry, that was so sloppy. This is your salivary gland. This is your esophagus, stomach, small intestine. Sorry, that's there we go. Large intestine. Sorry. Rectum. Anus. Ooh, and then we have all this big complex over here. And I have seen on IB exams, they ask you to draw this. So way out here, this is the liver. This is where your bile's coming from. This here is the gallbladder holding the bile. And this here is your pancreas. And they all release fluid right into the beginning of your small intestine, so that fluid has plenty of time to act on the food as it moves through the small intestine. But make careful note of the stuff. Okay, this is how I saw on the test. So they made the liver here, and they were trying to figure out if you knew it was the gallbladder connected first, then the intestine, and then the then the pancreas, then the small intestine. GB, pancreas, small intestine. So liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine. Liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestine. So the stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid, HCl, and protease enzymes, which is pepsin, like Pepsi, but pepsin. Kills the bacteria, and all that acid will break down the proteins, pre-digest everything. And one thing your stomach allows you to do is to store food so you don't have to eat that often. You can accomplish a lot more if you can eat a meal and then go about our business before we have to fuel up again. And the contractions in your stomach helps to squeeze, mixes, and breaks up food. So small intestine, in the pancreatic juice, you got a lot of different things: proteases, amylase, lipase, and nuclease. And this is probably the most important part. This is where you absorb everything, all the proteins, fats, lipids. This is where they get into your bloodstream. And these special things called Peyer's patches destroy pathogens. So large intestine, moving right along, your body pumps an amazing amount of fluid into the things you eat to process them. And you already usually eat a lot of fluid with your food, because without the water, it's not going to go down. You're not going to like it. So there's a lot of fluid in there, and your body wants to get that back, especially all the juices in the pancreas and the bile that are being thrown in there. Otherwise, you dehydrate. So 90% of that liquid is removed, so excess water is removed. And large intestine, a lot of them have bacteria in there, and a lot of them make vitamins: biotin, folic acid, vitamin K, and vitamin B. This one here we'll get in topic section 3. Vitamin K is really important for blood clotting. Oops. Absorption and assimilation. So absorbing it goes into the bloodstream. In the form of monomers. So those are basically building blocks, monomers. Sorry, sloppy. And assimilation, that's when you're building those things, like building blocks. Building blocks, you're going to build something with those, right? So those built molecules are called macromolecules. And we have villi all sorts of ways. It's all about surface area. You'll see it's a theme that comes back a lot in biology. Villi really help to increase the surface area. And there's also villi on top of villi. So that's how important they are. And they're permeable. They're surrounded by blood to absorb those good things. And there's something called a lacteal, which is just for fats. And that goes, instead of most things go to the liver, fats go right to your blood. And I'm not sure the reason for that. Probably because it's an important part of our energy system that we've developed over millennia. So, if you a sandwich or a hamburger, what happens to the carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins? So the carbs will first be affected by the amylase, okay, in your mouth. Then it's going to be affected by amylase again as it goes through the small intestine, and it'll be separated or turned into glucose molecules eventually. The lipids aren't really affected by anything until they get into the small intestine, where they encounter lipase and bile, and that helps break it up to glycerol and fatty acids, which then go into your blood. But remember, not everything gets absorbed. You poop out lots of glucose, glycerol, fatty acids. It's not 100% efficient. And then protein, you divide or you break up the long chain into amino acids first, not in your mouth, but in your stomach with the pepsin, and then different kinds of proteases in your small intestine until you get to amino acids. Okay, so glucose. Most cereals were full of sugar. So locations from your mouth to your right arm. So we'll say esophagus. It's going to your stomach, not absorbed. Then it's going to your small intestine. Say it's a lucky glucose that gets absorbed. Then it goes to your blood. Then this is the blood surrounding your small intestine. Then it's going to go to your liver, where it could get stored, or it might go right back out to your blood, and then to your right arm. So those are the places that glucose will go.